The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and it's Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interested you. And this week, a big week of news, tons of different stuff from tons of different toy lines that we're going to break into and dive into. And of course, a double dose of album of the week this week, so we'll be talking about that as well, and the back half on the end of this video. But of course, we're going to start with some housekeeping at the top here. Of course, don't forget about Patreon. The April giveaway is right around the corner. We're getting dangerously close to May, but this April giveaway is Damian Priest, Big Van Vader, Rey Mysterio, and Brie Bella, the whole Royal Rumble Doc Hendricks Build-A-Figure set wave. Got to be a member of the Patreon to be eligible, but I will be giving this away to one of you out there. Of course, the Patreon, early access to videos like this, bonus content, Q&As, giveaways, pizza reviews, you name it. Best of all, you do support the channel at being a member of the old Patreon. So check that out if you are interested. Of course, the MLC giveaway is still going on. MLC Facebook group. Head over there, join the group, tell them Kyle sent you, and then leave a message down below in the comment section of this very video, and somewhere say whatever you want, but also put in MLC. That way you will enter for that giveaway prize. So check that one out. That will be a $50 gift card to the Nerdzoic Toy Store. So make sure you do enter that one as well. And then this weekend is the big Kane County Toy Show right outside of Chicago. The biggest toy show in the world, they say, or at least the United States. It's 8 massive buildings of toys. We've done it before. We're going to do it again. I will be there this weekend filming away. So expect a video sometime next week about all the exploits over there. Not really looking for anything off the top of my head. I'm one of those guys that really does know it when I see it. So we'll see what I end up picking up. Hopefully for my wallet's sake, I just see a lot of good stuff and I don't need to pick anything up. But we'll see what happens. You never know what might happen out on the hunt. But let's dive into the news this week. And we're going to start off with wrestling news of the week. And I guess, you know what old Jerry Reed would say. Jerry Reed, as usual, exactly right. But you know what Rob Halford would say.
Message from Rob Halford of Judas Priest.
Step on the red, cross on the green, never take a ride in a stranger's machine, and always make sure you're burning on turbo power.
Once again, very, very right. But today we're talking WCW stage. As of right now, I just checked before I started filming the video, we're at 2,105 backers. Of course, we need 5,000 to get this funded, to get the stage, to get Rey Mysterio, to get Scott Steiner. And Jerry Reed was right. I mean, we got a long way to go and a short time to get there. We're running out of time. We need something around 200 backers a day. Going to get real close to the end, of course, as we do see with a lot of these backers and a lot of these crowdfunding items. The last week is usually one of the busier weeks. It's usually right up front and kind of the back end. So people waiting to the end, waiting to the last minute, things like that. So we'll see a push. We'll see definitely that grow, but will we hit 5,000? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. I'm not going to dive into all the dirty details. We've done it numerous times over the last couple of weeks. But if you're interested, get in there. Don't forget about it. Last chance at this, and really I think this is going to be an interesting one because this is going to steer where Mattel's crowdfunding goes in the future. Do we get the Raw stage next time? Do they go out there? I don't think they will. I think stages are done after this. I think rings are done after this. So maybe they parlay themselves to, like I said, a barber shop, a funeral parlor, something a little bit smaller. Let's build some anticipation. Let's get something smaller going, then try a big one again. We'll see. But I know a lot of people are saying we need that SmackDown fist. If Nitro stage can't get funded, I don't think a SmackDown Fist would ever get funded either. You got to take that big business step back. WCW, Monday Nitro, that was the boom period of wrestling. That was a huge time where people were watching wrestling. A lot of people were watching around SmackDown Fist era, but I don't know if it has the same chords, if it's playing all the hits like the Nitro stage or even the Raw stage would be playing if you think about it. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting where this one goes and where we go into the future there. But one thing I know about going into the future is we head over to Ringside Collectibles. We use discount code Kyle, we save 10%. But we did see this week some pretty promotional images, which usually mean maybe we're about a month away from shipping to us, as we did see the latest Blood and Guts 2-pack, an all-time favorite line of mine, with CM Punk and MJF. Man, this one looks next level. Dare I say this could be the best Blood and Guts pack we've seen yet. It seems like almost every time they top the one before it. So we've had some really good Blood and Guts ones. This one really next level. If you look on the side, you see those extra heads. that CM Punk head with just pure rain and blood like a young Slayer face going there. Man, that's the one I'm using for sure. There's no doubt about it. I love all the blood and gore in this pack. Very, very cool. We understand why this wouldn't be at retail, but this is a perfect Ringside Collectibles exclusive. Man, head over there if you didn't get this one yet. Looks absolutely next level. Very, very excited for that one. And then Ringside also came in this week with pre-orders for the brand new AEW announcer set. Very cool to get a little one-off prop here. You got your spot for Excalibur, Tony Schiavone, Jim Ross, and I guess Taz. I guess you can throw Taz in there if you want to get an extra seat kind of off to the side. But we do get the announcer's desk. Very cool. You get the monitors. You get, of course, the breakaway table. You get a backdrop you can put up. You get the headsets as well. And one cool thing they had on this is the nice little attention to detail is little hanger for the headsets underneath the desk. Just great attention to detail on this pack here, and very reasonably priced as well. So I thought that was really cool. Can't wait to get that in hand. Have to imagine maybe that and the Blood and Guts pack will probably mail out about the same time, so we'll stay tuned to that. Can't wait to get both of those here on the channel, and of course we'll review them here on the channel, so stay tuned for all that. Leaving the big boys in the WWE and AEW figures down to some of the third party, some of the smaller companies out there, and Brian Pillman was showing off from Zombie Sailor, his answer to the Elite line. Of course, he did give us pictures of Jeff Jarrett before. Now we're getting Brian Pillman in ECW. We did see that post earlier this week, and honestly, there was a lot of negative posts on that where a lot of people are usually all aboard, and there was definitely those people, but a lot of people dogging on the head sculpt for this Brian Pillman. Like a lot of them, I wait to see how they look in hand. It's definitely an interesting era of Brian Pillman. This isn't flying Brian Pillman by any means, but Brian Pillman does come with a hand with a gun in it, so that's something you wouldn't see from AEW and Mattel even if they had Brian Pillman. So I do like Zombie Sailor going all out there, putting a gun there. Might offend some people, but man, it was part of the story. It was part of that when Stone Cold invaded his house. We'll never forget that night. But very cool to get this one. I'm anxious to see what these feel like in hand. I'm anxious to get these in hand, and I'm anxious to see what else we're going to get. Will we finally get the Legion of Doom in something like this? Could that possibly happen? Could we get Demolition? I think those are on the table, so I'm very excited to see where this goes. But I think I said it last week. The bad thing about a lot of things like this and a lot of the retro lines, we get excited for it. We see this. There's not even a pre-order date yet. It says it's going to come in 2023, the Brian Pillman, but will it really come in 2023? The waiting truly is the hardest part. Tom Petty sat me down on his lap when I was a little kid. He said, Kyle, I want to tell you one thing, and don't ever forget this. And he said, the waiting is the hardest part. He's exactly right, because we're waiting for this Jeff Jarrett. We're waiting for the Brian Pillman. Let's say they both come at the end of the year. Well, then Legion of Doom gets announced. When are they coming? The end of 2024? It's just time just really is moving slow in a lot of these figures, as we do know, and it's hard to be patient, but as they say, patience is a virtue. But we'll see. I'm very excited to see where this zombie line goes, where it heads to, where it goes as far as retros and these elite-style figures. So much more to come in the future as well. Now we take a look back, I guess, back to Mattel for Coliseum Collection, as Steve Ozier did put up a picture of the Coliseum Collection Rowdy Roddy Piper in packaging. Very, very cool looking. I've been wanting an Ultimate Roddy Piper for a long time. I did see that in person, of course, at WrestleMania weekend at the Mattel Superstore, the WWE Mattel Superstore there. Very cool to get Roddy Piper. A lot of people saying, what's up with his shirt? It's just white with Hot Rod. There's none of the red around here and up top. Well, this is an LJN line. It is depicting the LJN figures from back in the day. If you knew that Hot Rod figure, it didn't have that. And he did wear that for a while without those on there. So it is true to form. I think the majority of the people always prefer the ringer style with the red on the ends. I definitely do, but I like that they're giving us this. You know we're getting an Ultimate Roddy Piper of that version eventually, probably a long-haired Intercontinental title run. We will see that in the future. There's no doubt in my mind. But very cool. Coming later this year with George the Animal Steel, as we do know. We also saw Boss Fight Legends of Lucha Libre. We saw Ultimo Dragon, Black Taurus, Vampiro, and Hijo del Perro. We saw some kind of grayed out prototype images of those from WrestleCon that they did show off a couple of weeks ago at WrestleMania weekend. Very excited for these figures as well. I thought Boss Fight did a really good job with some of their other figures, so I'm excited for more of these. Very cool to have all these deeper cut lines out there, but man, like everything else, I just want everything hurrying up and getting here a little bit faster, and it's just not totally realistic. But the waiting, it's the hardest part once again, but we will get these eventually. Very excited for the Black Taurus especially. Hairy bipedal creature, man, sign me up all day long. Now we turn our attention over to the retro corner of the channel. Every single week we have a lot of retro stuff to talk about. This week, no different. We need a little jingle to lead us into this, but maybe one of these days. But we're back to Zombie Sailor again. He updated some pics of Raven coming in Series 2. We know that is coming sooner rather than later. I got to think Zombie Sailor Series 2 coming in the next couple of months, hopefully. It's just a long wait, as we do know. But we know that Zombie Sailor has said in the future it's going to be order in like 2 weeks you're going to have your figures. They're doing that in Series 3 and beyond. Hopefully they're doing that with the Jeff Jarrett and Brian Pillman. I would love to see that as well. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but we'll see what happens there. But very excited for this Raven one. Apparently this leather jacket's going to blow our minds when we do see that as well. So we'll stay tuned for that. We did see Hastel Toys this week show a picture of Ahmed Johnson, of course, but we also saw the Godfather, Smoke Train, Charles Wright, and it looks like we're going to have a variant. And you know me, I've talked about it, I'm not a huge fan of variants and all these, but it makes sense for these smaller companies. You make a variant, get you extra sales. You got to get the most out of your molds when you're an early startup company for sure. So that's a way for Hastel to get a little extra money going on there. And looking at Ahmed and Smoke Train together, Ahmed is the clear winner of the two for me. I did order both of these. Smoke Train looks okay. Some lights it looks good. Some lights it looks a little bit off. Maybe that's just me. But Ahmed, every picture I've seen looks really, really good. So I'm excited. We'll judge him when we get him at the table. We'll do the reviews like we always do, but very excited for some of these other parties that have been announcing figures, talking figures for a long time to finally get us some figures here to the table. So stay tuned for those. Epic Toys this week showed pictures of Eddie Guerrero Hasbro retro style figure, and I saw this and I was just scratching my head, and it wasn't lice. No, it wasn't. I got that checked just in case, but it wasn't lice. It was Eddie Guerrero being shown again, and we saw this before when it was Wrestling Trader and Cella, so they basically put the background different, same figure, same glamour shots. I guess trying to remind us that Eddie Guerrero is coming. So a little bit of smoke and mirrors right there. A lot of people thought this was a new reveal, but that tells you how many reveals we get from these companies that a lot of people forgot about it, or a lot of people are like, wait a minute, I've seen this before. I feel like I've seen this before. And that's what it was with Eddie Guerrero there from Epic Toys. So that's coming eventually. We'll stay tuned for that. We did see back to Mattel, a little Mattel retro news. We did see the newest series that's coming up later this year, the latest 4-pack. We saw them at the WrestleMania Superstore. Took pictures of those, did videos on those. Check those out if you missed them. But we did see Taker on card, which we did see there as well. But we also saw the 4-pack box, and it's a little bit of a love letter to the BCAs, of course, the Bone Crunchers from back in the day. Very cool touch there for longtime collectors. I love the color scheme on this box set. Very, very fun. I did enjoy looking at that. Can't wait to get those in hand as well, especially that Jerry the King Lawler. I'm the most excited about that one, I think. But then the final one for retro figures is Rush Collectibles. We mentioned it last week. Well, this week they showed 3 different versions of Roadkill, and a lot of people are saying these don't look very good. I actually think they look pretty good from the pictures. I don't know what people are expecting, and retros are really tough because a lot of people are expecting Hasbro. Some are expecting, like the KWK ones we've seen is like the Hasbros of the future. Zombie Sailor kind of in between that, the retros of the future and the Hasbro style to me. You get Hastel Toys a little bit more towards the Hasbro. There's like a spectrum there of a lot of these retros, and everybody fits on kind of in a different place. Hopefully everyone stays in their own lane though and doesn't zigzag back and forth between looking too modern and too old school and back and forth. Got to keep them in your same lane is what I would say, but who am I? But we did see 3 versions of Roadkill, which is crazy. I did order one, and I can't even remember which one I did order from the 3. It's been so long. I probably ordered those a year ago, if not longer. I just don't know if there's anybody clamoring for 3 different versions of Roadkill. Let's be honest, most people probably do not remember Roadkill from back in the day. But once again, it goes back to getting the most out of your molds, especially early companies like Rush Collectibles getting after it here. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. We do know they got Bronson Reed coming. We do know they got Larry Zbyszko as well. They got the Monster line. There's a lot going on with Rush Collectibles, but we'll see. Once this Roadkill finally does hit us, we'll see what all the fuss is about when that time does come. Now we're going to turn our attention over to miscellaneous. A lot of miscellaneous stuff this week. And I guess we'll start it off. We saw a little picture out there of some Action Force points. Are we going to finally figure out where these points go to, what we can get out of these points? I've been saving my points. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to redeem them for something. Plus shipping and handling, I would imagine, if it's old school style. But Action Force fans, we're going to get to redeem those sooner rather than later. Heading over to our old friends at Big Bad Toy Store. Hit the link in the description below in this video to support the channel. Big Bad Toy Store, right up the road from me. I ordered for them from a lot, as you guys know. But we did see the Goro Mortal Kombat Storm Collectibles figure. A lot of people like myself been looking for Goro. Finally getting a chance to get Goro. I'm very excited. I'm ready for this one. coming later in 2023. Very well could be a top 10 miscellaneous figure of the year for me. Between that and Shao Kahn, they're playing some old hits. They're going to be new hits here in 2023. So check that out if you're into that kind of thing. We did see Rita Repulsa and the Minotaur from the Power Ranger Lightning Collection. They had a big stream this week announcing a lot of things. Those were the two highlights to me. Of course, they did announce the red and the pink and black, I believe it was, Rangers in the Galaxy Collection, the remastered line, which I did unbox the yellow and blue of on the channel a couple months ago. I think I was one of the first ones to unbox that one. Had some issues with that one. A little bit too froggy, a little bit too wiggly for me. Hopefully they fix that in the future. But it'll be interesting to see how Rita sells, as she was part of a 2-pack prior. Now we're getting her back out there again. And then the Minotaur, the monsters usually do a really good job with from the Lightning Collection from what I've seen. I did watch that new Power Ranger Netflix special. I carved out an hour of time to check that out. It was all right. I mean, I would never say Power Rangers was my 100% jam. I was all about the G.I. Joe, the Transformers, the He-Man, the Turtles. But Power Rangers was in there. I remember watching it before I'd have to walk to school. I would always know when Power Rangers was over, it was time to leave the house to start headed to school. It was a tough time. It was great to watch Power Rangers, but it was bad having to go to school. You guys have been there. But watch that one. Of course, it was very much on Billy and Zach, of course. And then we did see cameos from other Rangers and things. I mean, it was sad not to see Jason David Frank there and Amy Jo Johnson. Would have been great to see them a part of it. Obviously, for different reasons, they could not be there. But it was a cool blast from the past, I guess. I didn't, remember Rita being a cyborg. I think that happened many years later in another Power Ranger incarnation. So it depends how up to speed you are with a lot of the stuff in the Power Ranger universe. But it was interesting for sure. And it really made me feel old, too. Because I remember thinking that, like, Billy and Zach were, like, my age. But they really weren't. They were, like, 10, 15 years older than me at the time watching Power Rangers. But to see them on screen now, it's like, gosh, they've really gotten old. Have I gotten old? Yes, I think I have. So I guess time stops for no one. We always get a little bit older there. But it was a really well done special for what it was. A nice little one-off. I don't know if we'll ever see more beyond that. But it was a pretty cool one-off really at the end of the day. And if you have a remote interest in the early days of Power Rangers, it's worth watching. That's what I would say. That's my little review for nobody that asked for it. There you go. Moving on, we did see from Toy Collector Magazine, this was a pretty cool one this week, taking us back to the old school days of magazine reveals. Some of you guys, maybe longtime collectors, you guys remember the old Toy Fair magazines, and was it Lee's Toy, what was it called? Something, Toy Review or whatever it was. There was a couple different toy magazines that came out every single month, and I remember my dad and I heading down to our local Borders and Barnes & Noble at the time to pick up these magazines, because this is pre-internet. You wouldn't get all your information right away from these companies. You would see it in some of these magazines. You have articles, things like that. That's what this Toy Collector magazine is trying to bring back, which I think is really cool. Something special about having a magazine in your hand. I know it's not for everybody anymore, but it is a fun thing there. But Super 7 did announce Simpsons Series 5 Ultimates through this, kind of, as it seems to be there's one person from the wave they haven't announced yet, or it's going to be a 3-person wave. We're not really sure. Haven't read the article. I think the magazine's coming out very soon. But Groundskeeper Willie, a character that's been around forever, a deep cut character, but not really. Is kind of how I feel about Groundskeeper Willie. So we are getting him. And then finally we're getting Marge and Lisa and Maggie. I'm guessing Marge and Maggie probably come together, but we're getting Lisa. It looks like Snowball the cat with her. So very cool. A lot of us have been wanting the core family members. Looks like we're going to finally get some of these in Series 5. But once again, going back to like what I was saying earlier, we're seeing this. Well, Series 1 came in our hands 2 months ago. What is time? Series 2, I think, is coming September or October. When is Series 5 coming? Is this like 2025, January of 2025? It's just so far in advance. I'd almost just rather not see it at this point, because I don't want to wait 2.5, maybe 3 years for this. Who knows at this point? So very interesting, but very cool. Some core characters in that wave. We'll stay tuned to see who else is in that wave in the future. But a little Simpsons Ultimates, which was a great line. That Series 1 blew me away, blew away my expectations if you saw my reviews here on the channel. We continue on with a little NECA, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Of course, the month of April, they're giving an April reveal every single week. This week, it looks like we're getting the last Ronin April. April, a little bit more grittier, a little bit more dirty, a little bit more beat up and torn and tattered and scarred too, like a young Metallica. But we are going to get her in the future, so I guess we'll stay tuned for that one when that comes out. And then the most controversial thing of the week for me, if you've been following along on the channel, ooh, my blood's still boiling, McFarlane Toys. What are you doing, brother? If you guys saw my unboxing of the DC Vampires Joker and Batman, the Walmart exclusives, you saw me just simply turn that arm and all oh, you know what broke loose? As I threw Batman across the room, threw his arm across the room. Just very, very disappointed it was break like that. It was like Omega Spawn all over again. Luckily, nobody accused me of breaking it on purpose this time. Everybody accused me, not everybody, but you know what I mean. Oh, he broke Omega Spawn. He's so rough on these things. I mean, it was the simplest of touch and the arm just broke off. I mean, the plastic literally caved into dust here. And as I always do say, I am a realist. I do understand not all toys are perfect. I guarantee every single toy that is released in the world, somewhere there's a defect with that very toy. Take a Mattel Elite line, every single one in that wave, somewhere along the line, a leg, an arm, a head, something is broken on it. Just the way it goes. Nothing is perfect. I get it. But it's always frustrating when it happens to you. When you spend that hard-earned money you work so hard for and things like that do break, it is a very frustrating experience. But it's no doubt that happens, no doubt about it. But I will say, I've unboxed, I think, over 6,000 figures at this point on the channel. Can you believe that? A lot of videos, we've unboxed many of figures, but I think it's around 6,000 separate figures we've unboxed here on the channel. I've had Todd McFarlane's Batman break. I've had Omega Spawn breaks. There's 2 McFarlane Toys figures. I had a Jax JBL we unboxed on 4th of July a couple years ago that I opened about his head broke off right out of the package. So there was one. And then I believe there was 1 or 2 Star Wars figures that broke in the year of Star Wars unboxings we did here on the channel. So out of 6,000 figures unboxed here on the channel and probably 100,000 over my life going back to when I was like 2 or 3 years old, I've only had, let's call it 5 figures ever break on me right out of the package. So I would say that's a pretty good thing as far as quality control from all these different toy companies. Mistakes happen, accidents happen, but when you got 5 and 2 of them are McFarlane Toys and 2 of them are fairly recently, that's not a good spell. And I know a lot of people have had some issues with some of these McFarlane Toys figures. Like I said, nothing's perfect, but constant learning, constant improvement, that's what we got to have out there. Quality control for sure. But back to the DC Vampires Walmart exclusive line, it looks like we're getting Superman here, and I'm very excited. I really like this line. That Batman, that Joker figure, I absolutely loved both of those. I was just very, very disappointed. I did pick up another Batman Vampire. You'll see it in weekly purchases tomorrow if you're watching these in order. I got to unbox that on the channel. It's going to be a very nerve-wracking one. It's going to be Take 2 Batman. Will it break? Will it go okay? Keep the fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. But Superman coming sooner rather than later. We did see Mondo Collectibles announce a timed exclusive once again. It is Gambit this time from the X-Men animated series. I got to get this. I'm just not sure if I'm going to get into this timed exclusive or I might get the regular version that goes to the Entertainment Earths of the world down the line because I could save 10%. I could get free shipping. I might have to do that, where if you order straight from Mondo, you don't save 10%, you don't get free shipping, but you do get a few different extra accessory pieces if you order from Mondo. So I got to really weigh those options. You guys know I had to pay off $2,000 of my wife's vehicle last week, so $225 for Gambit. I'm not sure if I want to pull the trigger or not. I guess I'll have to figure that out fairly soon, or most likely I'm probably going to wait for the Entertainment Earth edition or the regular retail edition in a few months from now and do it that way. But we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, I guess. But Gambit is announced. Really cool. Want to complete out that team. Want to complete out that X-Men animated series. It is really my favorite X-Men at the time. That was a part of my reading days and cartoon watching days, things like that. So a very, very cool line that really is nostalgic to me. So I really do want to get this Gambit. We'll just stay tuned and see what happens with that. We did see, speaking of Marvel Legends, or speaking of Marvel Legends this week from Hasbro did announce a few things. We did see the 2-pack Marvel Legends Spider-Man animated series Hasbro Pulse exclusives. We do have a new Green Goblin coming, and we do have Mary Jane Watson from the animated series. A lot of people missed out on that last Green Goblin. It's another way to get this one here. You do get a human head for Harry as well, and then you do get Mary Jane, which always feels weird with Green Goblin because you always think Gwen Stacy with Green Goblin, but is what it is. Nice to get Mary Jane Watson here in the line. We do, of course, have Aunt May coming before that. So we're really getting some of these human characters out there. We're getting some of those. I'm here for that. So if you're into that one, check out Hasbro Pulse. It's up for pre-order right there, or will be up for pre-order sooner rather than later. And then you got Super Adaptoid, easy for me to say, came out this week for pre-order from all the usual sites, the Big Bad Toy Stores, DJC Collectibles, Entertainment Earth, you name it. He is up for pre-order. A very interesting looking one. And the way things Marvel Legends are going right now, we might have him in about 2 weeks. If you guys have been following along on the channel, I've unboxed the entire Guardians of the Galaxy wave, the brand new one, plus the deluxe editions, across the Spider-Verse, the entire wave of that and the deluxe editions. I just unboxed the X-Men Wave with the Starjammers, Corsair, Chode. Those are up on Patreon as we speak, as all the videos always are early. So we unboxed that entire wave. And then you had, what is it, Squadron Supreme, the Iron Man one-off, the Yondu one-off. There's been so many, Ronan the Accuser. So much Marvel Legends content the last couple of weeks, which I guess is good to get all those because the wrestling has been pretty slow. We haven't had any new wrestling releases. So this does work out here, I guess. It gives us something to talk about here on the channel. Keep going 3 videos a day. We've been doing that for, gosh, almost a year now. It's the hardest working man in show business, the hardest working man in YouTube, like a young James Brown, popping these videos out every single day and then some. But that is the toy news of the week this week. A very busy week and a lot of different stuff this week, of course, as you did see here. But now we got to get down to album of the week here. We're going to go Lux Eterna. We talked about it last week with Metallica, and hopefully you checked out this week on the channel. I'm not sure if a majority of the audience that watches this channel was too interested in the video, but I did do a Metallica top 5 countdown for our Thursday top 5. Thought we'd talk about it. Of course, Lux Eterna, it's way too new. It's not going to be in my top 5 Metallica, and honestly, I don't know how it ever could be. It's just not going to work that way. But an interesting album. My only gripe is maybe some of the songs being a little bit too long, almost a little too proggy, and proggy in length, I guess is what we feel like with Metallica. And a lot of people dogging on it, as usual. Everybody dogs on everything new Metallica, which honestly isn't fair. Yes, it's not the Metallica of Kill 'Em All. Yes, I wish they were Metallica Kill 'Em All still, but gotta be honest, it is a business at one point. Metallica is the biggest heavy metal band in the world. They have grown their audience. They've transcended heavy metal, where a band like Megadeth, a lot of street cred, a lot of good metal cred, people know them outside, but Megadeth isn't Metallica. Metallica is a beast that is up to another level. They're playing stadiums, they're doing all kinds of stuff. They're on Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, things like that. As much as I love Megadeth, it's very rare that happens. Once in a blue moon, they'll get a shot at something like that, but Metallica can basically be on any show they want to, whenever they want to. So different levels of bands there, and that's just kind of the way it goes, but it's still good. I think, is it the greatest? No. Is it their top 10 album? Maybe at number 10? I don't know. It's got to grow on me for a little bit longer, but it is a good album for what Metallica is right now. Yes, some of the songs are a little bit long. I don't know if they stick with me right away on first listen. Some of them do kind of blend together, but it just takes time to grow with an album a little bit. But I'd still put this album over anything else new metal that's going on the radio right now. You know, like, nothing against the Hailstorms of the world and the Avenged Sevenfolds and stuff. It's just not for me, and maybe that's just my age, I don't know, but I like the more new wave of British heavy metal sound. I like the classic metal sound. That's what I like, and Metallica gives us some of that. We get some of those new wave British heavy metal riffs in this album. We get some nods to the past, some nods to the future, a little bit of everything with Metallica. Some people saying James' voice isn't what it used to be. Yeah, he doesn't sound like the James from Kill 'Em All anymore. I know I don't have the same voice I had, 40 years ago, really. Your voice changes over time. We know that how that goes, and definitely his singing voice has changed over the years, as we do know. A lot of people dogging on Lars, of course. That old outlaw Waylon Jennings, he thought it was the loudest drums he'd ever heard. He was talking to me about that. You guys know I'm not supersonic hearing in my albums. I can't dissect every single one, especially on just a couple of listens, but definitely loud drums in here. I will give it that. Not Saint Anger level of drum business going on, but definitely an interesting album, and one everybody should check out at least once. But it's really hard in this day and age to really sit with an album for a long time. I remember the days in my car as a kid, you pop that CD in, and sometimes that CD wouldn't leave your CD changer for like 3 months at a time. You just listen to that album over and over and over, and there's very few albums, unfortunately, in this day and age, because so much stuff is coming at us, not just from music media, TV, internet, work, kids, parents, whatever it may be, coming at you all the time. It's tough to have those repeated listens. At least it is for me. But we're all coming to mowing season. I'll be mowing the yard every 2-3 days coming up soon. Gonna get a lot of listening done when I'm doing that. So I'll definitely be visiting this album over the summer, and who knows, maybe come July I'll have some new clarity about it. I'm not sure, but definitely worth checking out. Always fun to have any of the classic metal bands, be it the Megadeths, the Anthrax, the Priest, the Maidens, the Slayers, the Motorheads, go on and on. Whenever they have a new album out, it's definitely a day one listen for me. And another one that was a day one listen to me, another one I was very excited for, that was obviously overshadowed in the heavy metal community by Metallica last week, but Overkill did release their 20th album called Scorched, and it's basically paint by numbers Overkill. One of my favorite thrash bands. A lot of people say, the big four. If there was a big five, what would be that big five? Would it be Testament? Would it be Exodus? Could it be Overkill? And I think I probably lean towards Testament, then Overkill, then Exodus, but it's really up to the individual trying to choose there. But Overkill, Blitz and the boys, DD, of course, over there, they've been holding it down for a long time. Straight up, same thing. They've never really changed their sound. They've always been after it the same way. And that's one thing you could make the argument, well, why bands like Overkill and Testament and some of these not really transcend to the next level like Metallica? Well, Metallica has grown and changed their sound, where those other bands outside of Testament trying death metal for a little bit, which honestly I was not a big fan of back in the day, they really haven't changed their sound, and there's good and bad for that. Overkill has kept their street cred, they've kept their fan base, they've kept a good living for a lot of years. Metallica changed their sound, moved on to another stratosphere, and with that comes more money, more popularity, things like that. So it really depends, where do you want to be in life, what do you want to be, and then of course you have to have the songs to back it up, you have to have the promotion, all that kind of stuff to back it up. And if you're into traditional thrash metal, you got to check out Overkill Scorched, one of their better albums. Let's do a top 20 Overkill albums here on the channel. We'll do that one of these days. I don't know, but the Metallica top 5 we did do this week, that might be enough for top 5. Some of you guys liked it, but I think most people weren't probably coming to this channel for my heavy metal takes, especially in full video form. But who knows, maybe we'll make it a Patreon exclusive for you hardcores that really want to do that. We'll do a weekly top 5 heavy metal on Patreon. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. I got to find more time, though. I got to find an extra hour a day, or hour in the week to make that one happen. But there it is. There's album of the week. There's the toy news of the week. What interested you this week? Will I see you at Kane County Toy Show this week? What did you think of Metallica? What did you think of Overkill? So many questions, so little time, but definitely let me know in the comments down below. Of course, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell, and don't forget about the Patreon. We got the Royal Rumble set giveaway. All kinds of bonus stuff, including early access to videos like this. Don't forget about the old Patreon channel, your best way to support the channel. You can also support the channel over at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search Kyle Peterson. Don't forget social media. SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So you know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and strolling my way into the weekend and the Kane County Toy Show. I'll see you guys all real soon.